Welcome to Bible Reader Companion. Our Bible reading this week is Luke chapters 2 through 13. And our memory verse this week is Luke chapter 6 and verse 31, in which Jesus says, "And just as you want men to do to you, you also do to them likewise." We've been looking at the context of Luke chapter 6 this week, trying to understand exactly what Jesus meant and look at some of the examples that he gives in this context of how to treat other people and applying it to this concept of treating others the way we'd want to be treated, putting ourselves in the shoes of the person that we're addressing or that we're doing something to or that we're conducting ourselves with. And we looked at this as a general principle on Monday. We looked at this as it relates to our speech on Tuesday. And yesterday we looked at it as it relates to our action and how we treat one another and how we conduct ourselves with one another, and even doing it with those people that we don't really like us and don't treat us well. Well, let's look at something else that he mentions here in this context that I think is difficult and really applies to the idea of treating others the way we want to be treated. Look beginning in verse 37 of Luke chapter 6. "Judge not, and you shall not be judged. Condemn not, and you shall not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be put into your bosom. For with the same measure that you use, it will be measured back to you." And he spoke a parable to them. "Can the blind lead the blind? Will they not both fall into the ditch? A disciple is not above his teacher, but everyone who is perfectly trained will be like his teacher. And why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not perceive the plank in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, 'Brother, let me remove the speck that is in your eye,' when you yourself do not see the plank that is in your own eye? Hypocrite! First remove the plank from your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck that is in your brother's eye." You know, this, along with the version of it from Matthew chapter 7, is a very much misused passage. "Judge not, and you shall not be judged." You don't judge me. You leave me alone, and you don't judge. Really, Jesus is not saying here that we have no responsibility to judge. All you have to do is just go a little further down in the reading that we did, and he says, look, get rid of your plank, and then get rid of the speck in your brother's eye. He doesn't say, hey, leave that speck, and you let your brother go around with a speck in his eye and with problems with his eyesight. You take care of the problems that you have first. And essentially what Jesus is getting at here is that we need to judge righteously. And we need to apply the same measure of judgment we want used for ourselves to others. You know, I think this is one of the most challenging things of human nature. We can see the faults of everybody else. We can talk about how that guy needs to change and that woman needs to do this different. And this guy at work needs to do this. And this, I'm telling you, that guy at church, he's got this problem. And my wife and my husband and my son and my daughter and all the things that they need to do. And I'm not saying, and Jesus isn't saying, that we shouldn't try to help them. But what happens when people try to point back to us and say, hey, you've got something that you need to change. Oh, not me. No, you don't judge me. I can talk about all you, and I can judge you, and I can talk about the things you need to change, but you just leave me alone. Well, no, that's not treating others the way we want to be treated, is it? We need to, when we judge others, judge righteously and fairly, and with the same measure and the same judgment that we use for ourselves. And many times the problem is we are just not harsh enough and don't have a strong enough judgment for ourselves to see, as Jesus says, that plank in our eye. It's like walking up to somebody with a 2x4 sticking out of your eye and saying, hey, you got a splinter in your eye. Let me take out that splinter while you're whacking them in the head with the 2x4 sticking out of your eye. Judge righteously. Judge others the way we want to be judged. And follow Jesus' admonition. Just as you want men to do to you, you also do to them likewise. Thank you for thinking on these things, and we hope you'll join us again tomorrow.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook for more content like this.